When it comes to romantic relationships, resilient people, they seem to have one thing in common. And quite often, they don't discover that they have been enduring actual abuse until their psychological resources are nearly completely depleted, which takes a great deal longer than others without this type of strength. It's not that they don't see the signs or fail to identify toxic behavior, they simply have a knack for working through and around problems. Then they rise above them, they push through them for the sake of achieving their relationship goals. And in the meantime, these abusive relationships do take their mental, emotional, and physical toll on the victim. And by the time a remarkably resilient person stumbles across an article or a book or a video or a podcast or consults with a therapist or a coach who is able to accurately describe the dynamics of a narcissistically abusive relationship and give it a label, they are mind blown. And I think that we've all had that light bulb moment. And after all, the ability to recover from difficulties and bounce back from problems more quickly than others is usually a helpful tool in life. However, it also might make some of us seem more vulnerable to certain unhealthy dynamics and patterns and forms of abuse. And one such form is narcissistic abuse. And it's important to explore the link between resilient and narcissistic partners because they are likely to pair up with each other. And that kind of goes against what the narrative is in many communities. This sets a stage for the abusive relationship, and the true danger lies in the fact that the narcissist has ulterior motives from the start, while their unsuspecting partner is unaware that manipulation will play a primary role all throughout their relationship. The crux of a relationship with a narcissist, that when narcissistic abuse is present, is that often partners struggle to accurately identify or articulate the feelings of confusion, frustration, and depletion associated with managing their narcissistic partner. And to truly identify if you have been in a harmful relationship with a narcissist, you must know what narcissistic behaviors look like in daily interactions. Otherwise, it could never occur to you to apply the label narcissist to your partner, especially if they are the very much misunderstood covert narcissist. And in my experience coaching, covert narcissists, they are the most misunderstood. They exhibit some less widely known characteristics and behaviors towards resilient partners, and this makes it even more difficult to spot that you have been a victim of narcissistic abuse. Perhaps you believe that you were love bombed at the start of your relationship, and your connection may not have began as an intense, idyllic whirlwind romance. Instead, you may have experienced a close, consistent connection with your partner, and may have known your partner on a platonic level for years before you transitioned into a romantic relationship. And instead of having your alarm set off by your partner coming on very strongly in the beginning and then making a drastic shift in behavior, you came to rely on their initial consistency and steady display of feelings for you. In fact, you may have felt that your relationship with your partner was the most normal and stable relationship that you have ever experienced. A slow building relationship coupled with initial consistent behavior can be a major smokescreen for narcissistic abuse. Long distance dating relationships can also be misleading at the start, and narcissists are able to maintain platonic and stable relationships with others until they are ready to activate a deeper fake connection. And since narcissists, they do need that constant supply of attention and validation, they will line up future partners while still in a relationship with someone else. It is not uncommon for a narcissist, for a relationship with a narcissist to feel less stable until you've let your guard down and committed fully to the narcissist. And once this happens, it's like a light switch goes off. The narcissist behavior will quickly shift, subjecting you to a roller coaster ride as you attempt to meet their needs for attention and validation. Sometimes the narcissistic partner will warn the victim in the beginning that there might be a defect in his or her personality. And instead of giving you hope for a perfect future with them, a covert narcissist may initially take ownership of some of their flaws. They may say that they are closed off, scarred from childhood experiences or a previous relationship, or that they have difficulty showing affection and expressing emotions. And they delivered this news in a very vulnerable manner, which may foster compassion versus fear among empathetic, nurturing, and codependent partners. And if you continue to pursue a connection with them after this disclosure, you may be pleasantly surprised that the struggles they warned you about don't initially seem to be a problem between the two of you. And your partner may appear to share and express emotions well and show you attention and affection and what feels like love on a regular basis. And if you cite the difference between the defective personality they initially described and the person that they are while they are with you, they may indicate that you are responsible for their positive changes, and praise the relationship for being unique, special, and unlike anything they have ever experienced before. And because you want to believe that a steady, loving connection with the right person can heal their old wounds, you may accept this temporary state as being your partner's new state of normalcy. While you may not have been showered with grand romantic gestures or presented a perfect picture, this temporary behavior modification is a form of love bombing. Covert narcissists do struggle with showing consistent affection, vulnerability, and attentiveness. In the initial phase of the relationship, they devote what feels like an inordinate amount of energy into mirroring your volume of expression and affection. And while they may have been initially curious about you, their focus is primarily on determining if you have something that they want or that they need. And as we know, narcissists are very concerned with appearance and status, and they are masters at assuming a particular role to acquire what they want. And whether you complete their picture of an ideal partner or family, or you supply them with stability, optimism, care, concern, empathy, validation, praise, money, or security, or give them access to people or of means or influence, the focus is on maintaining that narcissistic supply of what they crave and not a genuine connection with you. Therefore, from a narcissist perspective, it may feel like a marathon of oversharing and overindulging you and overcompensating for their deficits. And you may not feel like they are bombarding you with an abnormal amount of positivity or expression, because in a healthy relationship, partners share on a regular basis without being exhausted. Their mutual physical and emotional output serves to refill each other's tank, but not in a narcissistically persuaded relationship. So eventually, the narcissist will become unable to maintain that facade, whether they lose interest in you or simply tire of pretending to be somebody that they are not. They will purposely or inadvertently slip into a pattern of behaviors that you have never seen before. The character flaws, personality defects, and lack of genuine connection will begin to change the shape and face of your relationship. Having studied you closely, they know what buttons and boundaries to push, and from small jabs to backhanded compliments to mood swings and inconsistencies in their behavior where there weren't in the initial dating stage. A narcissist will exhibit a new set of manipulation tactics in this stage, and when they once behaved like they held you on a pedestal, they may point out your flaws, isolate you from loved ones, or discourage you from doing the things that you once enjoyed and need to do in order to remain successful. And when you ask them about their changes in behavior, they will remind you that they initially warned you that they were flawed, and you knew this is who I was from the very beginning, is a classic line of defense. And this response may become part of an unhealthy cycle of mental and emotional silent treatment, withholding sex, or telling you that your expectations are too high when you attempt to understand the sharp change in the covert narcissist's behavior. In general, any attempt that you make to restore any intimacy, vulnerability, and reciprocity that they faked in the beginning will be met with stark resistance, because they believe that they have already modified themselves so much to fit that into that relationship, that further changing would result in a loss of their newfound true self. So say your partner doesn't verbally abuse you, physically abuse you. The public praise that you may have received from your narcissist in the initial stages of the relationship run counter to the subtle jabs and critiques that they provide behind closed doors. Narcissists purposely use any weaknesses or shortcomings that they discovered about you during the trust building stage to chip away at your resilience and positivity. pleasing them in the areas of, say, cooking, cleaning, parenting, sex, personal grooming, money management, and socializing in public can feel like a constantly moving target. Though they may not state that they dislike these things directly, instead you may receive small doses of negative feedback as well as silence versus acknowledgement for your behavior and appearances. Covert narcissists control their partners with mood shifts so that they are frequently confused about how to act and feel a need to walk on eggshells. Counter complaints are a very powerful weapon in the narcissist arsenal. Resilient partners often withstand jabs and critiques and are capable of seeing through the narcissist attempts to bruise their self-esteem. However, accurately calling out a narcissist's problematic behavior can activate severe retaliation. And if you attempt to highlight the lack of depth of conversation, emotional or physical disconnection, or surface level coexistence that is indicative of a longer term relationship with a narcissist, they may use phrases like, oh, you're never satisfied, or your expectations are too high and you want too much, you're controlling, you're unhappy, depressed, you're an angry person. And this is all to deflect responsibility, shift the blame, and as they are unable to accept any responsibility for wrongdoing, narcissists convince themselves that their partner's actions are the genesis of any existing problems in the relationship. The harder it is for them to tear you down, the more destructive this narcissist will become. Covert narcissists in the mainstream, I believe, especially here on social media, they are very, very, very misunderstood, and many people have the wrong idea of what a covert narcissist is. Covert narcissists are emotional vampires that drain their partner's empathy, concern, validation, praise, and daily energy without making healthy deposits. And resilient partners may discover that they can sustain these withdrawals for a relatively long period of time, relying on their inner strength, faith, and their community of support. However, eventually, partners feel confused, frustrated, miserable, and depleted by the circular behaviors of their narcissistic partner. And over time, more serious mental and physical health conditions develop without partners being aware that the relationship may be the primary contributing factor to this. And existing in this type of relationship is one of the most challenging things to do because it is designed to keep partners confused, exhausted, and under constant control. And once you become aware that you have fallen into a toxic or abusive relationship, the key is to regain your strength, clarity, and ultimately move to a place of physical and emotional safety. Many partners of covert narcissists are left bewildered after witnessing such a dramatic shift in the relationship with their narcissist. They are charming and attentive. This is the person that they initially met and bonded with, and this person is now hard to locate. And this, however resilient and empathetic that this resilient partner is, they will not easily give up on this narcissist, and they want to rekindle that initial flame. And it's not uncommon to question if you have done something wrong to cause the distance or the volatile behaviors that are now present in the relationship with the covert narcissist. And the truth is that the narcissist has knocked the partner off the pedestal. And when a partner begins to expect him or her to meet their mutual need for reciprocity and consistency and compromise, the narcissist loses interest, becomes resentful, creating further distance or sparking narcissistic rage. And some narcissists verbalize that their partner is no longer useful or fulfilling and fails to meet their ever-changing expectations. And these excuses may be used to justify behaviors such as lying, cheating, withholding affection and sex, and violating other relationship boundaries. In some cases, a narcissist may simply decide to up and leave their partner without warning, causing extreme mental, physical, emotional, and financial distress. My name is Sara Ann Brown, and this is Narcissistic Abuse 101.